everybody, and welcome to Crochet, a Canadian crochet podcast. I am your hostess, Claudia. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hail from the base of the Rocky Mountains in southern Alberta, Canada, and I love to crochet. Let's get started. So, I skipped last week because, oh my gosh, I will get into it at the end of this episode. We're going to go through all of the fun stuff, but yes, I did miss last week. So now Google's going to be like to the algorithm, but you know, I needed to do what I needed to do. But since this is a brand new week, a brand new Wednesday, let's get started with what I am working on this week. I can't remember, and I'm pretty sure actually that I did discuss this, that I had made, or I had started making a blanket, but I didn't show anything to anybody because it wasn't at the showing stage. But it is now. So I have it's about 20% done, I would say so far, but it has enough variation and stuff that I feel more comfortable talking about it and showing you things. And so here we go. This is a queen size blanket that I am making right now. This is there we go. So this does have a right side and a wrong side. This is the right side. This is the wrong side. As you can see, I haven't put any of my ends in yet, but now we can get started with this. So this is I would say this is a cross between a use up scrap yarn and a stitch sampler, sort of. So what I am doing, and I'm sort of making this up as I go along, and this part actually I was really stuck on for a long time, but we will get there. So I saw a blanket on Pinterest that I really liked, and it wasn't crochet, and I was like, you know what, I can probably rig something up that's decently similar, but not so similar, right, that it's copyright infringement or anything. And this is what I have come up with. So the original pattern that I was making in my head, I just did everything double crochet just to get measurements to start. So what I did was I sort of figured out how much space I wanted with the colors and things like that. In terms of rows, and then I did the math on how many rows that ended up being in total. And then I very rarely do this. If you visit this channel very often, you know I'm not a swatcher. So I actually swatched using the yarn that I was going to keep, but I pulled it out after I was finished. Anyway, I made up a swatch and I measured how tall 5 stitches were, and then I pulled it out just to 1 row, and I then measured how tall one row of stitches was. And then I made sure that the math worked out between the 1 and the 5. And then I did the 1 times however many rows that there were. And from a previous blanket that I was working on, I already knew that I wanted this to be 270 stitches wide on its completion. So I didn't have to figure that out because I already knew, because I have another blanket that I'm making at the same time in my head. So it's a little bit hard when I'm going along trying to think of what I'm doing, because sometimes I flip back and forth. So I do have a pattern. It's not even really a pattern. It's a bunch of lines on an Excel spreadsheet. It's not even like the stitches on there. It's just that I kind of know what I'm doing, and I'm just looking at the color schematic. So that is that. So what I started doing is and like everything in my house, again, and I have to say sorry, it's got cat hair and dog hair on it. Shedding season really bad, and this is for us, so I don't really mind that there's hair in it. I'm gonna pick it out anyway, but if it's not for someone. Back to the crocheting part. I started this. This is double crochet. This is double crochet, and then I switched it up a little bit because I thought, why not? This is herringbone half double crochet, and then on the row that has these baubles, it might be hard to see. I don't know, I don't really notice it on here, so I think that's probably a good thing, is that I did single crochet in the white. Then when I got to this bauble, I did, or it's not even it's puff stitch, double crochet puff stitch. And how many did I do, 5 or 4? There's 4. Okay, so I did a 4 cluster bauble stitch here in the gray, which is why you can see that it's got the little tails at the end for these, and then continued on to the next one, to the next one, to the end. And what did I want to say? Something about this. Oh, right. I didn't carry the yarn all the way across because I was only going to do one. Sorry, wait, there's crickets. I was only going to be doing the one bobble on here, so I didn't want to take it along with me on this, and I think it's fine because these are long enough. I can tie them and put them in and put that lock stop stuff on them to get that finished. And then I continued half double crochet herringbone to here. This is regular double crochet. Yep, regular double crochet for 2 rows. And then I did lemon peel stitch here for, I think, 4 or 5 rows. I'll have to find my notes again. It's in one of my notebooks that I keep for this. And then this row here is half double crochet regular. And then for these little knobby guys, this is a treble crochet, and then we continue on with that. And this section just repeats itself, and then we get back to double crochet. This is half double crochet. Oh no, okay, sorry, back to here. This set of gray, blue here is different from here. This is regular double crochet. This is a double crochet herringbone, just to give it a little bit of difference. And then the line of the blue is in half double crochet, yes, and then onto that again. And then this is a section, this is the biggest section of the blanket. So I wanted to make sure that I was using a stitch set that is very visually appealing. Maybe it doesn't quite go with how everything is, but I really wanted it to be different. So what I am using here is a shell stitch. So it is a cluster of 5, and then you skip, okay, so sorry, let me back up. I always start my rows this way. So I start them, where's the start of this one? Yeah, because I want to show you, I won't be able to find it. There we go. It's a little bit hard to see on here. So this is the very, very first row right here of the shell stitch. So at the end, at least I think it is, this might be the end, it doesn't matter. Regardless, this is my visual aid to explain. So I chain 3 on the end, and then in the one stitch I chain 3, and then I crochet 2 to start the row. So it's like half of the shell. And then in 2 stitches, or you skip 2 stitches, then in the 3rd stitch from your beginning cluster, you put a single crochet, and then you skip 2 again, and then in the 3rd one from your single crochet, you put 5 now instead of 3. And then you continue, all the way to the end. And then when you get to the end, it's the same. So you would have, yeah, I totally showed you this backwards, but it does work out. So then you would have your final single crochet, and then skip the 2, and then a very last chain, or very last, I don't know, sorry. I do know the difference between a chain and a stitch. I don't know why I'm saying chain constantly. Sorry, very last stitch of the row is you put your 3. So yes, it seems like you'll have too many, but the math does work out, I promise. I've tested it rigorously. So on the next one, you will chain 1, and yes, chain 1, switch your row, turn around, and then in the top of the very last stitch, you put a single crochet. And then in the single crochet of the previous row, you put the 5 to create the fan. So you want to have at either end, for the second row, you want to have the top of the chain, or top of the row or top of the shell available for you to put your single crochet in. That is why I put in, make sure that they are 3 stitches, because yes, obviously 2 or half of 5 is 2.5, so that doesn't work out. But mathematically speaking, it ends up being the right number of stitches when you have the 3 and then 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 3, because you use the tops of those in the next row. And then you just keep repeating that. So the 3rd row will be like the first one where you chain the 3, put 3 stitches in, single crochet into the top of the previous shell, and so on and so forth. So that's that. This is how far I am working, or I have gotten on it. So yeah, I said it's about 20% done. And that's really all I have to say about that for right now. I really like how this is turning out. This is almost completely made of Bernat Premium yarn that I got from Walmart, and I will show you all of that. So I think I have lost, yes I did, this color oh man, I believe it's called Robin's Egg. I have all of the details listed on my Ravelry page about this project, but I'll just go over quickly. So this is the color that I'm using right now. Definitely going to have to get another one of these because I've used about half of it and I'm not anywhere near half done section. And this one comes up a few times, but not a ton. This is like the secondary accent color. Like it's more prevalent than the accent color, but I really like this one. So yeah, this Burnout Premium in Robin's Egg is the light blue. And the dark blue that we were using, I still have, luckily this one was able to be center pull. This one is just called Navy, and it's Burnout Premium. I got all of these at Walmart. So yes, all of this is acrylic yarn. And then the white is, I'm stuck on something here. There we go. I just have a little bit of this one left right now. So the white is just white, Burnout Premium. I may have to get another one of those, but I'm not 100% sure. This gray, I'm on like the very last dregs of it, so it's like completely yarn barf right now, but it still is technically a center pull. I'm just trying to baby it along to make sure it stays all right. And there we go, put that like that. And this one is called Medium Heather Gray. So this is the sleeve for that gray Burnout Premium. It's really, really pretty. I really like that color. It's a touch dark. I was really hemming and hawing in the store because they had this like cascade of grays at the time. And this one was like the most middle that they had. And I do like it. But if I were to go back, I think I would go with something, I would go with the shade lighter than this. That being said, I do really like how it's turning out. I think that the contrast between where I'm seeing the issue in my eyes is the contrast between the navy blue and the gray is just, it's not quite what I was expecting. That being said, I still like it. There is still a contrast. If I had gone the shade darker, there wouldn't be any contrast, and I would definitely not be using that navy in that area. I would probably be using the gold, which I will show you in a bit. And I still have, oh gosh, I have another skein of this with the label on. This is Botany Teal. I have used this many times. I haven't gotten to this color yet in the blanket. It's coming up when it's about 2/3 finished. That's when I start this. This is not a hugely used part, but it comprises a big part of the blanket. So I have this skein and then another one also somewhere in a basket. I possibly have a second one, but this is good. And then I've got loads and loads and loads of this. So this is a little bit left over. This is the cream color that started off the blanket, and this is called Aran, A-R-A-N, and I like it. It's like that fisherman color, fisherman sweater color. That's what I always call it, is that because it reminds me of those, like, they have like the fun front on them. So yeah, there's that. And I'm just keeping my show notes awake here. And that's all to say about that. I have lots of this. And then I'm just going to show you a new ball of the last color. This is the accent color. So this one is not particularly prevalent. I have several balls of this. I found more when I was cleaning up a bunch of stuff, so I was really glad I kept all of this. So this is called Amber, and this is Burnout Wavelengths. So this one's a little bit different than the other ones. It's quite a bit heavier, but I like that because it gives a different kind of texture to what otherwise would be just a boring strip of gold. So it has like this like rich beefy quality to it in the blanket, and I like it. So the hook that I am using for all of these, I'm just using the same yarn. So these Burnout ones, they call for a 5mm hook, and the Wavelengths calls for a 6. So I just decided to go with the 6. I'm using my Susan Bates hook that I've chewed the end on because I hold it in my mouth a lot with this. So yeah, I really like this hook. You guys know I love Susan Bates hooks. If you're new here and you don't know that, I love Susan Bates hooks. I like how pointy they are. I love everything about them. So yes, I am using this for all of the yarn. And so the worsted weight yarn that's size 4 it's a little bit looser than the Wavelengths yarn, but that's okay. That it's turning out how I like it. I don't like a really, really dense weave. I like stuff that's more open because I feel like it hangs nicer. So that's that. Wow, that was a lot of talking about a blanket, wasn't it? All right, the next thing that I am working on is, I'm working on another poncho. It's of this. I got this, I feel like I talked about this. I can't remember. This is the Sour Candy Bernat Softy Baby Stripes. Got this from Michael's. It was on like a clear out price, so it was, I think, $5 or something like that. So I have 4 balls of that. And I am making, this is very, very small beginnings of a poncho. I just love the color of it. This one, when I get to the end, I'm going to make an I-cord and then put it through the neck because I do like that style. And it just has like the little tassels at the front, so I think it's really, really cute. It's working up super nicely so far. Again, I haven't got very far at all, but I don't know. I love the colors. I love how bright it is. This to me is like a really great springtime poncho. This does have a recipient in mind. So I am not keeping this one, unfortunately, because it's sad. I become very attached to these things. And then I give them away, which is, it's nice for that person, but I'm just like, oh, I love you. This yarn calls for a 4mm hook, and I have gone way outside of that, and I'm using a 5.5mm hook. This is one I got at Walmart, and I am using this because I was using my wooden hook before, which I'll show you. But this one, I think the puppy has chewed, and that's why I switched. Yes. So I do still use this one, but you might be able to see that there's teeth marks on it. So this yarn is quite fine, and the fibers are fine, so it catches on this one, and I was just getting annoyed with it. But I have made things with cotton with this, and for some reason the cotton was fine. So that is an issue. I do have to sand it a tiny bit. And so I moved to this stainless steel hook with the grip on it. These are fine. These are like, they're really like gentle, basic hooks. They're not my favorite, but you know what? I use what I have. So that's that. I will put that away. But yeah, so I am keeping it in this. I did not make this bag. I got this at Winners, oh gosh, a long time ago. And I have another one that's this really bright green. But I wanted this one like that. Usually I stab the hook into the ball for this one so that it doesn't fall out. Yeah, that's really all I have to say about this one. This is nowhere near as exciting as the blanket, unfortunately. This is just going to be a standard granny stripe poncho. So that is what I am doing. It's granny stripe. I started with a chain. Right now I don't remember. I had it calculated out in my notebook, which I don't have with me, which is inane. But yeah, so it's just a standard. You have a cluster of 3 double crochets, chain, skip 3, and continue on like that. And then in the corners, I have the double, or like 2, so it's like 6 double crochets with, so you do 3, chain 2, 3, and it ends up with 6 double crochet stitches in the corners. I am not doing the wandering seam. Actually, this is good because I can show you I'm not at the corner yet. So this is the back, and I like to have the color change of this style go straight down the back instead of like this, how it traditionally would if we followed the standard granny square pattern. So I only put at the end and the beginning of the row, or at the beginning of the row, sorry, I put 1 set of a granny cluster here. So 3, or I chain 3, double crochet 2, and the first chain counts as a stitch. Then in the next space I do, and that's standard as you go along, same corner. And then when I get back to here, so since I only put 1 in here, and it does look kind of funny like this, but once it's finished, you can't really tell the difference. So once I am finished the cluster that goes here, I will, in this space right there, put my last set of 3 double crochets, then I chain 2 like I would in the standard corner, and then I join that to the top of this last one here. And then you can see in the previous rows how that ends up like that. And because the color is changing, it makes that part more noticeable than it would in the front so far because the color doesn't change here. But it's not that noticeable. Like if you look at this green section here, it doesn't really look all that different than the green section here. So that's why I like it, is that you can't, I mean, you can tell that that's the back, but it's not so noticeable like, ooh, like this is such a crazy mess. We need to fix this. The next thing that I am working on is my daughter is going camping. Trust me, this is relevant to the story. Oh, I just shoved a bunch of stuff in here. So my daughter is going camping, and one thing that she needs is a mess kit bag. Oh my gosh, who did this? I must have done this. I'm so terrible. Anyway, she's going camping, and so is my son. They are both in outdoor programs with their respective schools. So they are, this is garbage. Ooh, I should have prepared better. Sorry. They are going on camping trips with their respective schools at, oh gosh, they're a week apart. So this will get used twice in 1 week and then possibly never again. They are super excited. And when I was in Girl Guides, that was my favorite part of going camping was getting to like set up my backpack and have this mess kit and everything. So my stepdad, I'm trying to sort this out on my lap. I'm not ignoring you. I apologize. So my stepdad, he had for years, I remember, he had I don't know if he had a business exactly, but he had a side thing that he did where he made these really cool waterproof horse blankets, and another thing that they made were these really cool slicker jackets, and he actually gave my husband one, and they're like, it's handmade and homemade, but it doesn't feel like that. Anyway, it's really, really nice. So we oftentimes had just like lots and lots of fabric because we would get samples and we get all kinds of stuff. So he made me a mesh bag on his antique sewing machine that I really liked that. And I like it because as an adult now, I mean, I liked it as a kid because I was the only one that had this, and it was homemade, and it was just for me, and it was a color that I liked, and it went with my dishes. But the reason now I like this as an adult is that it was mesh. So they were recommending for my children to send a Ziploc bag, and if my children are anything like other children that I know, or vice versa, you know, or your children like mine, maybe, is that you can't always guarantee that they're going to clean their dishes properly. So there may be little specks of food, there may be little something or other in there. And you know what you're thinking is that, wouldn't you want smell contained if you're out in bear country? I'm like, yes and no. I don't always trust a Ziploc bag to do its job. There's a reason that when you're hiking in bear country, if you're going backpacking, it's not recommended that you keep your food in Ziploc bags because they're not odor proof. You can get bear canisters that are odor proof, and you put your stuff in there. Those are also watertight, which, if you get something stinky in there, that would be terrible. Anywho, so as a parent, I know if things get put away damp, if things get put away not perfectly, as we say, mummy clean, then odor may arise. And keeping it sealed in a Ziploc bag is not going to help the situation. It's just going to keep the damp, the moisture, the smell in there. And depending on what kind of plastic or whatever your meal kit is, it could actually permeate into that and have a permanent odor, which I absolutely do not want because, ugh, gross. I don't want to have to throw this stuff out. So I have a while before I need to get this done. I am making them, and this is the very, very beginning of it, a bag. They can share it for their mess kit. So I am using the Aunt Lydia's, that lace weight yarn. It's just the plain white, which, yes, I know it will get stained, but this is the only color that I had at home already. I didn't want to have to go buy something else. I am not using a pattern that I have found. I'm just sort of making this up as I go along. So this is the top right now. And no, it's not going to be this small that I put it together like that. I was thinking of doing something like that originally, but in my head, it didn't work out the way that I had wanted it to, so I did change it. What I am doing right now, so this is a series of double crochet, and then the second row here is double crochet, chain, skip, stitch, and then double crochet to create this larger hole here. And then for 3 more rows, I'm doing regular double crochet, one in the double crochet of the row before and one in the space. So then it has sort of like a band and then a dotty part and then a wider band like that. After that, I will be doing I don't know what it's called, but you chain 3 or 4 or 5, depending on how you exactly want it to look. And then you put a single crochet, 1 fewer than the number of chains that you have in the row. So I'm going to have to do some math, and that's the reason why I don't know what number I am using for this to accomplish it. I may also do a treble crochet with like 3 chains in between, but again, that's depending mathematically. I didn't count the number of chains that I put in here before I started going. I just kind of went based on the size that I wanted it to be. Anywho, so then there will be a very wide section, probably about like this, of the open weave mesh looking material. Then I'm going to go back and do regular double crochets all together with the same number, because I know, you have to count all of that stuff, so you have to get that sorted out. And then have that about yay wide. And I'll know. I go by how I know, and it hasn't turned me too wrong yet. Okay, so then there's that. And then once I'm satisfied with the depth of it by half, there's a way you can go into the double crochet of the row before to sort of like, it crooks it like this. So the way that you put the stitch into this row here, so you'd put it into the top and it makes it go like a V shape like this. So you'd have like one set of fabric panel here, and then you start your second one. So this one you start at the top, go to the bottom, you make the stitch the certain way, and then you go back up to the top. So I guess in theory, it's one longer shape, and then you fold it in half, and the bottom is that weird set where I was talking about. And then I'm going to crochet up the sides of each of it to make the bag, then create the I-cord, and then we're done. You can then hang the I-cord. I think I'm just going to make them just tie in a bow for now, because I don't have that. They're like those circle lock things, and you press the button and it has a little spring inside and it like opens up, so then you can pull the string tight. I don't have those right now. I'm going to see if I can find some in the house, but right now I don't have that. That would be perfect. If I don't have that, that's okay too. And yes, so, and it's cotton, so it will stain, but it will dry fairly quickly-ish. I'm doing the best that I can with it. The hook that I am using, oh my gosh, this thing is so small, it hurts my hand, which is why I've only gotten this far. This is a 2.5 millimeter hook. This is from the same set that the brown hook is. I don't like the head, but the smallest Susan Bates one that I have is a 3.25, and it is just way too big. I did try this out originally, but I mean, you can see like it's massively different. Like this is really, really big compared to this. I'm not even actually sure if this is a genuine 2.5. I don't have a one of those little, they're like a card usually, and you can test the size of your hooks on them. I don't have one of those, so I don't know if this is actually 2.5, but this is working for this. This recommended that you do a 1.75, I believe, something like that. But I don't have that, and I don't want to buy a hook for that, because this is probably the only time I'm ever going to use this. So that is, yes, that is the mess kit bag that I'm using or making for my kits. And then I have one final thing. I was really on a pattern making kick here for a while. So I have this yarn. This is a Karen funnel cake. I can't remember. I've lost the puppy chewed. I know what happened. The puppy chewed the label off of this, and I don't have another one, so I don't know. I don't know what the color is. It's orange. That's all I know. I really like it. I do know it is 100% cotton. So I am making, this is taking a while. I apologize. I'm not usually this chatty, and I don't usually have this much to talk about for things I'm working on. Anyway, I am making a pillowcase for one of our pillows in the house. So this is a pattern that I did make on Excel. I made the chart for it, and I am following that. So it is working out really, really well. And this is a series of single crochets. I think it's 5 bobbles, or maybe is it 4 again? Okay, this is the cluster 4 bobbles, and then here you can see a little bit of something, and that I will explain, because what is this episode today without explaining everything a million times. So this here is going to be a place where I make fringe on the edge. So this is treble crochet again here, and then when I'm finished making this whole thing, I will, what was I planning on doing exactly? Oh yes, so this part, I believe, this part goes around the pillow. It kind of worked out a little bit funny, so I am improvising on the go. I am going to make another back panel for this that is plain. So the corners will, or the sides will actually be like this, but it's still going to work out the way that I want it to. And what am I going to do? I guess that part doesn't matter at the moment. Where was I? Yes. So, and then I'm going to make a fringe. So what I'm going to do is I'll get bits of yarn that are yay wide and feed them through. My daughter has a latch hook kit, so I might just use that just to make it easier, and then just fluff them up on the side so it has fringe all the way around. Yeah, so like I said, this got a little bit wide. I'm not sure exactly what happened when I was doing this, because I measured originally and I did a swatch, and I knew that I needed, oh gosh, what was it? 60 stitches or something like that with this. And then I did it and started going, and it just went kind of funny. So yeah, live and learn. This is one I would like to release, but since I'm doing this test one and it's worked out funny, I know not to put it like that and not so many stitches. It's for a pillow that is roughly, I'm sorry, I'm trying to do centimeters. It's about 40 centimeters by 40 centimeters-ish. So this is the bottom. This is about a third done. So it's going to have this one, and then in the next series of this, it will have another diamond like that, but in the center it will have a little one, and then it will finish up with this again. And then these lines here go like this. So I've not done something like this ever. This was actually super fun to design because I really liked it. It was good. And it's nice to see it come together, because the chart is, when I look at the charts, like I have a pretty good idea of what it's going to be, but at the same time, it's always a bit of a surprise when I'm working on it, and then to see it like actually forming in my hands. So that is that. I am using a 5mm hook for that, because I believe that is what the yarn label called for it. That I am using this wooden hook. So 5mm. And it is, yeah, it's going well. I haven't worked on a whole lot lately. So there's that. Usually at this part of the podcast, I talk about the finished items, but I don't have any of the items that I have finished to show you. They're all gone out doing their things. I made my daughter a shell stitch hot pink headband, because that's what she was asking for. You might remember from a few episodes ago, and I'll try and link the card here, that I bought stuff from the thrift store, and this bright pink Karen yarn was in there. So I made a shell stitch headband because she's been asking me for a while. She can have it. And then one of her friends saw it and really liked it. So I made a second one, but in a really pretty, like very bright royal blue color. Oh, it's just absolutely stunning. But since the friend has that, it's gone. My daughter keeps hers in her backpack right now as her sort of emergency headwear. And then I also made a tiny little hammock for some of my daughter's stuffed animals. So it is set up in her room, and I didn't want to dismantle it and take everything out, because I feel like that's an invasion of her privacy, and she wouldn't like that because I didn't ask. So we'll just have to imagine a very cute little lilac purple hammock that's about yay wide for her stuffies. I think it's very cute. It turned out really well. She has animals in it. That's what's important. So those are the things that I worked on, but I can't show them to you, so I do apologize for that. All right, I would like to add like a few things that are into the podcast here, and one of them is a YouTube channel that I am currently enjoying. I've been subscribed to this channel for, probably, it was one of the first ones that I ever subscribed to, actually, that was crocheting. So the name of the YouTube channel that I am talking about that I like, that you should also subscribe to, is called Little John's Yarn. This lady, I love her lives. I love her instructions. I love her testing out things. Just her channel overall is really, really good, and I really enjoy it, and I think you guys should give it a check as well. I will put it in an iCard in the videos here. So there is that. Recommend her. Please give her some love, give her some subscribe, check out her videos. It's all good. What I am reading right now, I was going to bring my Kindle downstairs, but the battery went kaput, so it is currently charging. But right now, I am reading Jack Kerouac's On the Road. I read Dharma Bums first, and now I'm reading this, and I kind of wish I had switched the order. One thing that I'm noticing is that they're basically the same story, and I'm a little bit bummed out about that. So if you've read one and wanted to read the other, like, don't, because it's going to take the shine off of that penny. That being said, I'm enjoying reading Jack Kerouac. And the story about On the Road I thought was amazing. It's just, he sat down at a typewriter and just wrote the story on in just one great big long thing without punctuation, anything like that. And then an editor had to go through and essentially fix it for, so it could be published and sold. And the story so far is good. How far am I in it? I'm about half done right now. I don't really like to talk about the plot in case someone's reading it. I really am very cognizant of not spoiling books and movies for people. So I don't say that kind of stuff about the books, but I was just saying that I enjoy that. It's kind of like that classic beatnik literature. So I thought, like, why not? It was 99 cents when I got it, which it was a great deal for a classic book. And yeah, that is what I am reading right now. You may have noticed that I didn't upload last week, and definitely 2 people noticed because they unsubscribed, which is 100% their prerogative. I understand why people would do that. It does make me a little bit sad, but it is what it is. So I want to be transparent, but I also don't want to be one of those people that like just talks about their issues and what's going on with their lives. Like, it's a hard balance for me because in real life, I'm a pretty transparent person. Like, if you ask me, what's why, as long as we have that kind of relationship anyway, I will tell you. But no, I'm not usually everything's fine when everything's not. Which, that's just an aside. But all that, I'm just saying that while I know specific individuals may see this channel, I just don't want to air out all my like business, is what it comes down to, because I don't feel like this is an appropriate venue for that. I think that's what I'm trying to get at. So yes, last week was actually the Crochet Business Summit, and I didn't end up attending any of it. We had some family issues arise that really needed 100% attention, 100% fulfillment, and it just required like laser beam focus, which I am good at doing that in stressful situations, which it was. So it's not 100% better yet, but things are definitely on their way, and I still have to make sure that I give it a lot of attention and detail, and I keep things on track so that these things are not happening again, but we can also move forward from them in a timely and effective fashion. Which I know if you knew what was going on, this would all make a lot more sense, and it seems like I'm being melodramatic, but just I personally was really struggling with. So then I missed the Crochet Summit because unfortunately every time I had to deal with something, it was like during a session or whatever. And then by the time I was able to go and try to take a look at the sessions that I had missed, everything had expired. So that I was really, really sad about. But I didn't buy a ticket. I chose the free option. So I didn't waste any money. I just felt really, really bad that I wasn't able to attend. But I believe it's a yearly event, so I would love to go next year maybe, and to watch these things and stuff like that. I mean, it's one of those things that I really like. You have to lean into the things that you lean into, right? So whether that's faith or anything like that, and I really had to come to terms with the fact that right now was not the time for me to be having to worry about that stuff. I needed to be worrying about other stuff and solely focused on other stuff, and that this doesn't, just because I wasn't able to attend, it doesn't mean that I will never get an opportunity to do something like this again. And who knows, maybe there'll be something in Calgary or something that I could actually go to in person. I mean, there could be better things that come along. Like, I don't know, I just have to figure these things out and take it one day at a time. And I just have to know that, it'll, like in Ecclesiastes, to everything there is a season. And I really hold firm to that nothing is going to last forever, because it can't. So I hate vague posting as well. But at the same time, I feel like, sorry, I have something itchy in my eye. I feel like I owe you somewhat of an explanation. But again, like, I don't want to be a drama monger, and it's not that, like, I don't need people to be like, oh, like, are you okay? Like, I don't like want or need that. Like, I don't need validation for my suffering or anything like that. just want to tell you that, yeah, like things were going really crappy. And things are less crappy. So even though it's still kind of crappy, it's better than it was, and that is good. I'm hanging on to that, and I know it's not going to be a linear thing, but I just have to keep going and keep doing it and keep dealing with it. Yes, my mental health takes a big hit when it's things like this, and I think that was mostly the reason that I wasn't able to actually like get my other ducks in a row once I was dealing with those, was because at the end of the day, I was genuinely feeling very depressed. I wasn't anxious. It's just I was so depleted and tired and unmotivated, and just like I really let everything else kind of fall apart at the moment because I just didn't care. And I'm feeling so much better now this week. And you know, it will all get sorted out. Like, I know it will all get sorted out. It will all be okay. But and then again, like, it's sort of kind of like a double recovery. So like there's the event that I have to, so it's like whoop, and that goes like that. But then there's like the fallout from the event as well, which it's not as bad. It's like more up here, but I was like up here. So it's like this double thing, and one slightly behind the other. In terms of like getting accomplished. So I'm just digging my way through like housework, because that's something I did the dishwasher, and that was basically it. I mopped a couple of times, but our home is not to the standard that I usually keep it. Like, there's things on the counters. I just have a lot of things to sort through, and like, you know, like that mom stuff, laundry, things like that. Everyone's fed, everyone's well. It's all good. So that is that. So in the wake of that, if you had followed me on any other social media platforms, you will notice I am not there anymore. I deleted my Instagram. I deleted my Pinterest account. I don't have the Ko-Fi account, nothing. The only thing that I have now is Ravelry and YouTube. And the reason I did this is because it really hit me how much of a time suck it was that I have been playing with these things. And it's not productive. It's not helping me. It does not add anything to my life. The only thing that those things do is to take away. Oh, sorry. I still have a Facebook account, but I do not use it. The only reason I still am keeping it is because I have business accounts attached to it. So in order to do business things, I still have to have it. Anyway, yeah, it's just a waste of my time, and it's not inspiring, and it's not even that it makes me feel bad, because I know a lot of people end up having issues with their mental health because of social media. I am not that person. I am objectively happy for someone who is displaying success, whether they are a gajillion dollars in credit card debt or not. It doesn't, like, I don't care. If you want to post that stuff, that's totally fine. That's up to you. But yeah, it was definitely not adding anything to my life. It was taking away, because I ended up spending time looking at stuff. So yeah, I have cut off those things which caused me to stumble. So yes, I feel so much better. The first several days that I did this, it was really, really hard, because I just like physically used to like looking at Instagram or whatever. And then I realized, like, I don't need to do this. I don't want to do this. So yeah, I just had to find other things to do with my hands, which you could be like, oh, well, crochet is something else to do with your hands. And you'd think I would have tons of stuff done, but I didn't. I was able to get to things that I had been neglecting, like a bunch of my antique books I was able to go through. I cleaned up a bunch of our basement. My husband has been really motivated to do things. Meal planning has been back on track. Like, I was able to fill the time that I had been scrolling with stuff that I actually needed to do, instead of just sitting and doing nothing. Yeah, so in some ways it was really hard, and I still am like working on it, but it's okay. Like, it's so much better this week than it was last week. So no, I didn't unfriend you. I didn't block you, nothing like that. I was just like, you know what? I am just so done with these things, because they drive me more crazy than happy. So that's that. One final thing is, I also decided to let my website expire. So hervagabondheart.com is no longer. I don't have the email addresses associated with that anymore either. So if you need my email address, please let me know. I will post it. It's in my YouTube about profile as well, if you would like to get a hold of me. Yeah, if I want to sell patterns, having my own site is not worth it at all. And it's not even that it was that expensive. It's just like, again, it's just like something else to do that does it actually enrich my life. Like that one I really, really had to think about. I didn't want to make a snap decision, and I oftentimes I do make snap decisions and I act on them almost immediately. But I sat on the domain expiration for 3 days, and I really weighed out the pros and cons of everything and deciding like how much time I can dedicate to everything. And at this point, is it really worth me having it? And at the end, I had to say no, it wasn't worth the effort that I had been putting into it or anything like that. So I decided to let it go, which then, like, that in turn sort of it snowballed to getting rid of the social media accounts except for YouTube and that. Because yeah, I didn't want to do it knee-jerk reaction, because I don't like that. I mean, at some point I would love to be able to get rid of YouTube, or not YouTube. Not yet anyway. Facebook, I'm just thinking about YouTube. That's why I said that. Because yeah, again, Facebook is a time suck, and it highlights unpleasant things about people pretty often, which may never come up in conversation. So I wouldn't necessarily like have to know like thoughts that people have that are not necessarily aligning with me, that they just like spray out into the world. It doesn't come up organically, we can say that, because if there are people that have differing viewpoints than myself, which is basically everybody, I would prefer that to come up organically in conversation, because it's not coming usually, from my experience, from a defensive place, and there is not a lot of like this going on when it comes to discussing why people have their beliefs. And you know what, I may not agree with many people's beliefs, but I am interested in sort of what led people down their paths to get to their beliefs, regardless, like, and I don't even mean like religious beliefs, I mean like literally any kind of beliefs. And I don't want to fight with you about it. And I feel that when I get like blasted with some of these things on Facebook, it's like non-consensual angry content, and I'm just like, no. So I mean, you can friend me on Facebook, but I don't really post a whole lot on there very much. That is what it is. All right, this is a long episode, but I appreciate that you have stuck with me this far. Thank you so much for joining me today. And if you like these episodes, give them a like and give them a subscribe. The button is down here somewhere. Sometimes YouTube changes where their buttons are, so it's around here somewhere. Yes, and you can share this with your friends as well if you think that they would like it. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you stay bright, stay beautiful, and follow your vagabond hearts.